sympathize when you talk with I shall pants. You know I'm the greatest nigga, wanna pull up my lines are confusing up a lingo C-sharp. Hey, C-sharp, now my jita C-sharp, bring a gun.
I've been in the skipper.
We supply, can't you see the king's back? When I pull up, nigga go silent. I'm claiming what's mine, get my crown back. Who's with these and they're taking chances, wanna be me. I put you in your place and fit in.
Object-oriented programming. So OOP is a concept of modern programming language that allows programmers to organize entities and objects. So there are 4 key concepts of OOP. Those concepts are abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Object-oriented programming is a programming model where programs are organized around objects and data rather than action and logic. So the OOP features is the fact that we have programs organized around objects and data rather than action and logic, which allows us to do decomposition of a problem into a smaller number of entities, and those entities are called objects. And then we build data and functions around these objects, and therefore a class is created. A class is a core of any modern object-oriented programming language such as C#. In OOP, it is mandatory to create a class for representing data. A class is a blueprint of an object that contains variables for storing data and functions to perform operations on the data. A class will not occupy any memory and space, and hence it is only a logical representation of data. To create a class, you simply use the keyword class followed by the class name. Objects. Objects are the basic runtime entities of an object-oriented system. They may represent a person, a place, or an item that the program must handle. The software is divided into a number of small units called objects. The data and functions are built around these small units called objects. The data of the objects can then be accessed only by the functions associated with that object. The functions of one object can access the functions of another object via a connector. An object is a software bundle of related variables and methods. An object is therefore an instance of a class. A class is a bundle of related code that can be used as a blueprint to create objects. Most people will say that everything you can see and touch in the world is an object and there is a class for it. So let us understand what that means. Classes come from the phrase classification. For example, if any four-wheeler vehicle in which there is a driver and some people are sitting at the back or besides the driver, then we say it's a car. So this is a classification depending on the property we're defining. So based on the properties, we can define whether it is a truck or is it a car, and both are vehicles again. So the vehicle again is class, meaning that both the truck and the car fall under the same category of class, and they are both the properties of that category vehicle. An example of a class illustrated below to you is public class calculator. Public int calculates sum, int num1 is num2. So basically this will add the two numbers num1 and num2, but the way we're going to insert these numbers is going to be very different than the usual way. It's going to be public int calculate sum. So here we're creating our method inside a class, int num1 comma int num2. You could say we're defining these properties or declaring these variables, and then it is returned num1 plus num2. But where do we get num1 and num2 values? Because we haven't prompted the user for it. That's where we go to creating objects and accessing class members via the object. So a calculator calc object equals new calculator. You see what happens here? Calculator calc object is then now gonna have the properties of the class calculator, meaning that it's gonna have the method of public int calculate sum. And when you say calc object dot calculate sum, you can easily fetch that calculate sum from that class, and then 10 and 20 is going to be inserted to 1 and 2 respectively, thus giving you the return answer of 30. And that brings me to the end of this video of explaining OOP. I hope you liked the video. I hope you understood it. Please leave comments down.
Hayibo phela nginqini I put in your place and